We're back, people, and today we're going to film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Chargers. They actually played pretty solid in this one. There was a few mistakes made by the team, but overall I think the biggest problem with the defense right now is the coaching, especially on third down. Didn't like the decisions that they were making. They were solid versus the run in this one. One area they do need to improve on is just getting off the field early. The Dolphins offense has been struggling to stay in rhythm, and if the defense could, do a better job of getting some 3-and-outs, not being on the field for these long drives, because they do a good job of bending but not breaking, but it would be nice if they could get off the field a little bit earlier. Offense could obviously help them out with that by, having more consistent drives. But as of late, defense has been playing pretty solidly. Need to work on the coaching aspect, especially on third downs. Too many mistakes. Don't understand some of the play calls. We'll break down that later. And then another main issue, the main issue in this game too, just with the players, was discipline in their pass rush lanes. They shot too far upfield too many times and just gave too many lanes for Herbert to escape into and create off script. And the DBs just had to cover for too long. So let's get right into this one. Good job in the run in this game. Wilkins played amazing. This play really right here, though, is set up by Zach Sealer. They've really allowed the D tackles, to play with a little more freedom, less two-gapping, more shooting gaps, stunting, twisting, whatever it is, on pass rush downs. Over here, they get Sealer to shoot into the A-gap, and he just dips underneath, rips that arm, stays square, and then just creates all this disruption, forces Eckler to cut, and then Roberts does a good job of finishing it too. Also, Wilkins even makes an impact on this play, going wide around the tackle here, just uses his momentum against him, throws him to the ground. Wilkins does this all the time, just using leverage against the Ono lineman. And then, this is why the defensive front has been so dominant this season. They have Davis in the nose, and then they have Sealer, Wilkins usually playing in 4-eye or maybe a 3-tech, Sealer playing more closer to a 3. But just love this defensive front. It's been so solid on early downs this year. Dolphins come out 3rd and 10. They could get a quick stop here, but Kohu ends up getting called for holding, which it definitely was holding. They try to switch it off, and I just don't think he was prepared because he motioned over a little bit late to this. Comes up, thinks he's going to be on the tight end, but him and Palmer end up switching pre-snap. So him and Crossan pass this off. So he's late with his eyes, obviously, to see the receiver. So he ends up just getting a grip. Dolphins love to run cover one. They come out and run robber, and they have McKinley playing deep middle. They have Holland dropping down to be the robber, take away this middle of the field, which I would like to see him play with a little more depth. You may take away this route to, Allen versus, I believe that's Howard. But they just get called for the holding. They do a good job of creating some pressure, forcing Herbert to escape the pocket. They bring 5. Kohu does make it up for it, though, to end this drive, which was a good thing. But penalties definitely hurt the Dolphins' defense in this one. One thing the Dolphins' defense really struggled with was just getting out into the flat. They made it very difficult. This is more on coaching, in my opinion, because they bring Rowe here, who is possibly the best position to be the curl flat defender, and because they rotate into a cover 3, but he blitzes. So Baker then has to become a flat defender all the way out here, but he's aligned as a middle linebacker. He has no chance to make a play on this to Eckler, and it's just too easy, a pitch and catch. And then Eckler is going to make most linebackers miss in space. So just poorly designed play call, and this is what the Dolphins offense should have done as well. Just made it easy pitch and catches, get the ball out quickly, but they were trying to push the ball downfield too much with 5-7 step drops, and they were just, with Herbert, it was just 1 to 3 step drops, get the ball out, especially early in this game, and that opened up some deeper passes later for the offense. Shout out to Christian Wilkins, because he's been absolutely dominating the past few weeks. Some of the best performance I've ever seen a defensive tackle have versus the run. I made a video on him versus the Niners, and he just didn't slow down versus the Chargers, just making these offensive linemen look silly, beating them so quickly. Look at this. Look how explosive he is right here, and fluid for a guy of his size. He's this motion right here. As soon as he sees him work out to the right, he understands what is going to happen. He just knifes to the inside, rips, and just beats him without even really the lineman getting hands on. That is so impressive. He is such an impressive player athletically, and he's just processing information so fast. He understands these run blocking schemes so well. It's very, very, very impressive. Another good play by Wilkins right here, down on the goal line. This is a 1st and goal on the 5. And Wilkins makes the play here. They try to, get him with some split zone action, leave him as the unblocked defender. And once he realizes he's unblocked, he gets his eyes back to the off-ball tight end, knowing that it's going to come. So he just takes it on, blows it up, and then everyone else just does a good job at the point of attack, holding their gaps here. holding their man. Davis versus a double team. Great job. Good job setting the edge here by Sealer too. Jenkins holds at the point of attack, and then Eckler has nowhere to go, and then everyone else rallies to the ball. So great play by the whole front. Wilkins really set that up to help everyone out too. This is one of the only plays where our flat defender did not get out leveraged to the flat. When you are the flat defender, you can't let the running back, the tight end, whoever it is, out leverage you to the flat. Van Ginkel does a great job right here. They try to pick him. Just based on his pre-snap positioning, he's in a tough spot here. He's inside the tight end and the receiver, and they both work towards him to pick him, and he just gets around instantly. He understands what's coming, so great instinctive play. You know, this is one of Van Ginkel's best plays in this game. He always has at least one play in every game where he makes a very, very high-level play, and I know this may not seem like too much, but once you really pay attention, understand the situation, based on his leverage here, and if you watch the rest of the game, the Dolphins were getting killed to the flats instantly. Like, they were getting out-leveraged the entire time, and Van Ginkel makes a great play, shows off his athleticism, and finishes for the tackle. Big fourth down stop, great play by Kohu. The receiver does stumble a little bit, so that might be a reason why he doesn't get in. Also, an interesting variation of how, like, the angle that the receiver takes by the Chargers, and I actually kind of liked how they did this. Usually you don't want your guy moving backwards, but I just feel like it gives Herbert an easier throw, and if the receiver doesn't stumble, it gives him an easier angle to get to the end zone, because if it was a little more flattened out, I think it gives the corner a better chance to make like an easier tackle, and it gives the receiver more space to possibly make a miss, but he just stumbles at the catch point, and Kohu shows great hustle. Chargers did this a lot throughout the game, the motioning and then getting the ball out quickly to the flat. Not this specific play, but like definitely different like looks to the flat with a motion. And Dolphins play a lot of man, and they had guys following. This was a big difference in this game, is Dolphins didn't have like their corner, or the Chargers defense didn't have like them follow the receivers on these motions. They had like the inside slot guy follow a lot of the times, and it just created favorable matchup leverage advantages for the Chargers defense. But for the Dolphins defense, they were just getting out leveraged to the flat. Dolphins didn't use the flat to their advantage. They kept trying to use these motions when they still had the inside leverage, and then break it back to the inside. Then it just was taken away the entire game. So great play here by Kohu. I'm not even going to show all of Wilkins' plays versus the run because there's just too many to break down, and I've broken down so many recently. But he's just been dominating. They line him up in a 3-tech this time. He's been playing a lot of 4-eye, a lot of 3-tech, and he just recognizes the pulling guard instantly. He's a shade over the pulling guard. He sees it, knows the center's going to come to block him. He just gets back into the inside leverage, knows that the ball is going to, or the running back is probably going to follow through with the guard, just understanding these blocking schemes. And he just so quickly recognizes this. Like, look how quick he is off the ball. As soon as he sees the pulling guard, based on his momentum, he's off. He's inside the center, and then makes a play on Eckler right at the line of scrimmage. An absolutely dominant run defender. Then a few plays later, Wilkins gets the sack. He hasn't been as dominant as a pass rusher, and obviously this one's a little unique. Just Dolphins get a sack, in this game, only bringing like a few people, only bringing 3, and they're all defensive tackles. It's not even like they're bringing Phillips or Chubb. They're dropping them into coverage, and this is when they get the sack. So it's pretty interesting. But he goes to jump to knock the ball down, and he kind of uses it to his advantage, because once he does that, he instantly just turns and corners the edge. So a super impressive athletic play from Wilkins. Not your traditional pass rush, and it wasn't like that crazy, technically, but the athleticism is super impressive off of it to then, now flip those hips, corner to the quarterback, and then get the sack. So great play by Wilkins again. Honestly, at this point in the season, he might be the second best player on the team, just like how consistent he's been playing. Like after Tyreek Hill, I feel like he's been the second most consistent player all year. Dolphins come out in cover 2 in the red zone. Chargers did a lot of this boot action, and they just don't get any, pressure. They allow Herbert to escape the pocket. Phillips gets too far to the inside, just allows him to get out, and he's even dropping on this. They just gotta, set this edge here, not allow him to get out here, because cover 2 to the backside. Holland gets over the top, gets to this corner route from Palmer. This is the first read, and he does a good job leveraging this, closing the distance. Really good play by Holland. But then they bring the crossing route from Mike Williams from the other side of the field into where Holland was, and Holland has to match this. As soon as he goes here, he's now just in man-to-man. Like when you're in the red zone like this, and once you match your guy that's in your zone, you just stick with him in man-to-man. And then the linebacker is then now forced to carry Roberts, is forced to carry Mike Williams, and he just falls for the run. Plus, even if he doesn't fall for the runs, he's not going to be able to cover Mike Williams deep in the end zone. Kohu tries to gain depth, but this is a very tough spot for him to be in. especially when he's the hook curl defender, and he's probably seeing Keenan Allen coming out to this flat area towards him too. And then Michael Williams just gains enough depth behind him, and sometimes you just can't beat a great throw from Herbert right there and a great finishing play by Williams. So tough stuff from the defense. When I saw Eric Rowe get this sack, I think this was something the Dolphins defense needed to do a lot more of. Either just bringing DBs or just once, they did this so much where they tried to beat, whoever the blocker was to their outside shoulder to the edge. But once Rowe realized he's about to gain too much depth, he comes off of it, either spin off of it, just come off of it, get downhill, make the tackle on Justin Herbert, finish for the sack. So really high-level stuff right there from Eric Rowe. This was an adjustment that should have been made by the defense, because while Phillips had a really good game, his pursuit, his pass rush discipline allowed Herbert to step up too many times. He stepped up into this gap so many times in this game, and then either, got, too many free yards, too many dump offs, maybe even a little bit of runs, but great job there by Rowe. Something the Dolphins pass rushers need to work on is being more disciplined in their rush lanes. And then here's the 3rd and 4. Here's the motion that was hurting the Dolphins the whole game. They even come out in zone, and it's just, they're getting out schemed right here. They're the only DB they have to this side. They're bringing on a blitz, and who's the flat defender? Who is supposed to make a play on this? No one is in a spot to rotate down. So I don't know if this was just coaching, bad pre-snap alignment from the defenders. They're just off here, because Rowe has to come down and make a play on this, and Rowe does not have, Holland might have been able to, but Rowe does not have the closing speed to get there, and it's just easy pitch and catch. Too many easy conversions for the offense just by using motion and then bringing a DB, and they just throw it right to where he comes off of. So getting out schemed too often in this game. Another 3rd and 10 situation where the Chargers convert. Phillips beats his guys off the edge again. Either someone's doing something wrong here. Either Phillips is pushing way too far upfield, really going for the big play here. He does a great job, 2-hand swipe, bending, getting to the edge, but Herbert just feels this, gets up, and either Wilkins needs to be here to not allow this to happen, stay in this lane. But I just feel like Phillips is shooting too far up the field too quickly. He's got to push more the tackle into the pocket, not allow Herbert to escape, and then they just throw it right to the whole shot out of the pocket, creating off script. This what just happened too many times in this game, and it just needs to be fixed in the future for sure. Phillips does make up for it a little bit later in the drive, getting the sack. He comes unblocked. They just bring the pressure here. Too many guys to face. The Chargers end up, this right tackle is forced to get this inside guy here. Once he sees Riley come, he knows he can't go. He has to leave the outside guy, and Phillips is just too quick, his closing speed, and then everyone else converges on him. So this was one of the better play calls, getting a free rusher in the red zone. DBs did a good job covering quickly, because too many times I feel like guys are just open instantly, even when they have a free rusher and they just get the ball out. So really solid play call there from Boyer, and then good execution by the defenders. And then Boyer comes out, does this, I don't know, I hate lining up. It's a 3rd and 17, and they just have, fucking 7, 8 people now at the goal line. Why are all these players down here? They don't need to align here pre-snap. They can get here post-snap pretty quickly, but you just are inviting the Chargers to dump it off to Eckler, who's a tough tackle, and now you have 3 offensive linemen out in front and a receiver, and Eckler doesn't get touched until the 4 or 5 yard line, almost drives into the end zone, and then they score the next play on just a 1 yard run up the middle. Just a terrible, terrible play call. I hate playing unaggressive like that, playing so conservative. That just doesn't fit the player's play style at all either. Just very bad stuff right there from Boyer. 3rd and 12, so 3rd and long situation. Dolphins go pretty soft here, running cover 3 robber. Holland becomes the robber defender. Takeaway right at the 6. I don't mind, they didn't go way too soft like they did on that 3rd and 17. I would like to see them play a little more aggressive, challenge these receivers at the line of scrimmage, and then you can still have your deep defenders, playing where they are. They really only get this stop because Kohu is a great tackler, or Kohu right here, he's a great tackler for this Dolphins defense. Probably the only DB that's a strong tackler. Just really nice stuff. They send everyone else deep. Herbert takes the check down to his tight end / fullback. Kohu closes really nicely and just takes out the legs from underneath him. So really strong finish. Kohu, after that holding call, had a pretty strong game. Made some big time stops. Obviously that 4th down, and now this. And this is just another play that gave the Dolphins offense a chance. So don't blame the Dolphins defense too much for this one. They could have played better, obviously. but they gave the offense enough chances to take the lead. And one of the worst roughing the passer penalties you'll ever see. Like, I don't understand like what the NFL is. Like, what is Phillips supposed to do? First of all, he stopped himself from using full body weight. Like, they called this penalty so long after. Like, I legitimately went to the bathroom and then came back, and then they were calling the roughing the passer. Like, I saw him get the sack. I'm like, let's go to take a piss, come back, and they're calling a roughing the passer this much later. Like, I don't understand. Phillips, great job here working the spin move. Like, this is a good adjustment by Phillips actually, because he has been attacking this right tackle off the edge like so many times. He left this rush lane open. Dolphins kind of adjust here by, having Baker. He's man-to-man, but he's still, like, at least holding this early so Herbert can't escape. But look at Phillips set up this pass rush move. He sets it up like he's going to swipe to the outside and then spin back to the middle. And somehow that's full body weight on him and roughing the passer. Just absolutely terrible. I don't think it ended up mattering too much because I still think they forced the punt by the end of this drive, but still, it just changes field position, and by this point of the game, like, the game's pretty close. Dolphins still have a chance, and they just have no momentum on offense, and this just takes momentum out of both sides of the ball. Then the very next drive, like, it's only a 3-point game at this point. Like, this is after Tyreek Hill's second big touchdown, and the Chargers come out and they do this play a lot. They roll Herbert out to the right, and then they throw like this throwback. They do it a little bit different because usually it's like they usually have one player over here running it like this, but they usually have a deep crosser as well that he throws this back to. But they actually have all the receivers over here break to this side, so it just gives a one-on-one matchup to Williams on Howard. And X has been struggling, I think, for the most part this season. He's had some good moments. This is a tough spot for him to be in. Like, this is just like a perfect throw from Herbert. Like, sometimes you can't beat a perfect throw, and this is, your cover one man-to-man on an island. Like, this is, I know people will say X has regressed a lot, but he really is asked to do one of the hardest jobs in football, so that's why I'm not too hard on Xavier. Like, this is very difficult to stop. I don't know how you stop this. The throw back across the body, not too many quarterbacks are able to make that throw, and especially when he's getting hit by it like that, and just drops it into the bucket. So sometimes you just can't beat good football. They do come out and hold the Chargers to a field goal here because this is 3rd and 8. They get some quick pressure, and actually the Chargers did come out with a pretty good play call because they know once they see like Holland sort of roaming around and like on the same side as Eckler, like they've probably watched the film, understand that Holland has been covering some running backs in these situations, like McCaffrey last week. And so they motion Eckler away to the left, which puts Holland in a very tough spot to make a play on this Eckler ball. But like, he doesn't throw it to Eckler for some reason, even though he had a shot here. But even if he did, I actually think Holland makes a play because look at him get around his DBs, get around this cluster right here, adjust his angle, and like he would have made a play at this, probably would have caught it and then tackled him like a yard or two downfield, and then would have been a big time stop. And then there's this, he ends up throwing it to, this stacked group right here. They do a pretty good job. Campbell and I believe Kohu, or I'm not sure. It's hard to tell from this angle, but they do a pretty good job staying pretty tight into the coverage here. But I just think the impressive part is this play was designed to create all this room for Eckler, and Holland makes this super impressive play to take that away, and it ends up forcing like this throwaway there from Herbert. I really like this adjustment, this play call right here from the Dolphins defense. Is a 2nd and 1 situation, and they allow Phillips to just knife to the inside. They had been doing this in this game, allowing their guys to knife into the inside gap, and Phillips is not going to get cut off here by a tight end, so he's just able to get this free run on the running back. But the biggest issue with this is they were beating this by using the boot with Herbert, but they bring Fedulum in behind it. So Fedulum would have been in behind it for the boot. So this just allows Phillips a little more freedom to make this play to the inside. So good adjustment here, and then you get a nice little 1-yard loss, maybe a 2-yard loss on a 2nd and short. In the very next play, Dolphins defense comes out and gets a huge stop on the 3rd and short. Like, great hustle to the ball here. Good job by Baker. Great job by Kohu too, getting to this block, not allowing Palmer right here to force him out. He just splits these two, forces Allen back to the inside, and Baker makes the good tackle. So big time play by Kohu and Baker, and it's only 20-14 at this point, so it gives the offense another chance, come back in this game. So defense stepped up when it mattered at the end of this game, giving the offense multiple chances to win it, and it just didn't work out, whether it was penalties or some drops, some sacks, just some missed opportunities by the offense. still a one-score game at this point. It's a 3rd and 3 situation, and they come out and they just get Keenan Allen an easy one to the flat. They just use him in motion. He's lined up in the slot. They have the corner follow him, and they just get him over the top and just an easy throw to the flat. No chance to make a play on this. Crossan put in a very difficult position. They got to make some sort of adjustment to this in the game. They just can't keep having the DB follow on these motions because it was just easy pitch and catch for Herbert, and just need to see that adjustment be made in the future. Last play that I'm going to break down, and this is, the one that basically finishes the game, and it's just poor pass rush discipline, allowing Herbert to escape the pocket. Again, Phillips takes a wide angle, tries to win the outside, and this just leaves this huge open gap because Wilkins and Ingram switch up front. So they're switching. Ingram is not able to get out into this area where I think he's probably supposed to, but he's the one who's crashing down. So I think it's very difficult for him to get to that spot anyways. He's supposed to create this loop for Wilkins, and that doesn't work at all. And it just creates this huge lane. I think Phillips was just trying to do too much on the edge there, and it just allows Herbert. Everyone else is in man. Dolphins run so much man on 3rd down that these running quarterbacks, unless you have a spy on them, they're just going to have these free lanes because, like, Riley's covering the running back. He's obviously not going to be looking. No one else is there to get this tackle, and this just ends the game for the team. So overall, I think the Dolphins defense played pretty well against a pretty good Chargers offense because they had everyone back, everyone pretty healthy. They made the game close even though the offense struggled for most of the game. So yeah, pretty good effort. Need to work on the play calling for sure. Might have a new defensive coordinator next year. Too many dumb situations to be playing so soft and not adjusting to the motions and getting the ball out of the flat. So need to work on that for sure. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.